Good morning. The Lord be with you. Welcome to worship. We're glad you're with us today, whether here in person or online. If you are online, we hope you'll download the bulletin from the homepage of our website. We are an open, inclusive congregation welcoming all people of goodwill. If you're visiting with us, we hope you will let us know that. Introduce yourself to us by filling out the form on the I'm New page. You can find that from page 4 in the bulletin or from the I'm New page on the website. Friday was Veterans Day, a day to remember the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform. We have a number of people in our church family who have served in the military and are veterans. And at this time, I'd like to just ask those who are veterans to please stand. We are very grateful for your service to our nation. Thank you. Today's adult education class will focus on what it is to be a Matthew 25 church. That will be downstairs at 1010 in classroom 6. Our 180 youth group will be meeting this evening from 5 to 7. That's for middle school and high schoolers. They'll be down in classroom 6. Join them for fun, food, and fellowship. Our Peace and Justice Work Group will host Canon Lloyd Casson, the Rector Emeritus of St. Andrews and Matthew Episcopal Church. He will be sharing stories about African Americans in Delaware. That's Thursday evening at 7. And the links for all Zoom events can be found in the Weekly Word or the online bulletin. If you brought an offering this morning, we hope you will drop it either in the blue box at the back of the church or outside of the transept door. Thank you for that offering. Today we express our sympathy to Jan Beeson on the recent death of her son, and also to Marty Nepper on the recent death of his father. Please remember both Jan and Marty in your prayers. Today's flowers are given to the glory of God and in memory of Matthew Maw by his parents, Denny and Marcia Maw. The flowers back in the narthex are from the memorial services we had yesterday, one for Charlene Weaver and one for Donna Nelson. I ask that you remember the Maws, the Nelsons, and the Weavers families all in your prayers. We're grateful to have the Handbell Choir with us today. It's been a while. We're looking forward to their music. And now we join together in worship. Seek not a superficial faith, but a deep faith in the Creator of the cosmos. Open your mind to mystery, your heart to holiness, and your soul to spirit. If we say we are without sin, we make fools of ourselves. Let us join together in our prayer of confession, praying, Gracious God, we long to live honestly, generously, and faithfully, but sin diverts our best intentions and we often miss the mark. We make false starts, we speak false words, we take false steps. Strengthen us and restore us to your way so that we might follow Jesus, who is the way and the truth and the life. Amen. The good news of the Scriptures is that there is far more love in God than sin in us. In Jesus Christ, we are forgiven. And let all God's people say, Amen. I'd like for the children to come forward and join me up front. We're going to stand up here today. We're going to need to stand today because if we sit down, they'll think we've left. They won't be able to see us. Yeah. So I'm wondering, turn toward me if you can, because I want to ask you a couple of questions. First off, who wants to tell me your favorite food?
Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket. What else?
Pizza.
Pizza. We have nods on pizza.
Pasta.
Pasta.
Meat.
Meat?
Actually, no.
Okay. Maggie, what's your favorite food? Cheeseburgers. All right. Uh-huh. Taquitos. Ooh, very exotic. Yes. All right. Well, good. Now, tell me your favorite color. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue.
Red.
Red. Purple. Blue. Very good. Okay. Well, it's really good that people have different choices when it comes to something like colors. If everybody chose blue, and then everybody wore blue and got blue cars and painted their houses blue, it'd be really boring, wouldn't it? But having red and purple and all these other colors makes life more beautiful. And if everybody liked cheeseburgers and that was all we could have, we'd get really, really tired of cheeseburgers, wouldn't we? So in some things, it's really good that we have choices and we make different choices. But in some things, it's not so great that we make different choices. And let me tell you what I mean. You have the choice to tell the truth or to tell a lie. Which is the right thing to do? Tell the truth, right? You have a choice to be kind or to be mean. Which is the right choice? Kind, right? You can share or you can be stingy. What's the right choice? Share. Very good. Well, there's a passage in the Bible that says, choose this day whom you will follow. And what it means is, if we follow God, then things will go right in life. But if we go the opposite from God, we start running into lots of trouble. So I hope you'll remember that sometimes in life, colors, food, it's nice to have different choices. Sometimes in life, it's really important to know what's right and what's not right. Let's have a prayer. Everybody join. Dear God, thank you for loving us and help us to make the right choices. Amen. Great. Thanks for coming up this morning. I think This fall, we've been working our way through the 8 Beatitudes found in the Gospel of Matthew. Today we focus on number 6. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. I've chosen to pair it with another passage from the New Testament that encourages purity in the followers of Jesus. The Apostle Paul wrote this in his letter to the Philippians. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence and if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. As for the things that you have learned and received and heard and noticed in me, do them, and the peace of God will be with you. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Raise your hand if you think of yourself as pure in heart. Yeah. Okay, raise your hand if you have someone in your family you consider pure in heart. Oh, we have a few. Good. Yeah. Well, I think we can agree that few, if any, are absolutely pure in heart. So what exactly was Jesus driving at with this beatitude? In her study of the 8 blessings, New Testament professor Margaret Eimer notes that there are different answers to this question. How is your heart? Some will take it literally and respond by telling you about their blood pressure or cholesterol level. Some might refer to songs of the heart, love songs. We often think of the heart as the seat of emotions. When we ask, "How is your heart?" we're thinking, "How are you feeling?" But in the ancient world, the heart wasn't considered the seat of emotions, it was considered the seat of thought. It's where you made decisions. What does it mean to be pure in heart? The Greek word here for pure is katharos, and it means what we would think of clean, unpolluted, genuine. When we say something is pure, we usually think of something that's without a flaw. And if that's what Jesus meant, well then no one's going to see God because no one's perfect. Would Jesus describe a category that no one could fill? Seems unlikely. While the Bible speaks of the importance of having a pure heart, it rarely describes it. However, we do find some descriptions of those whose hearts are impure. If we flip over to the 15th chapter of Matthew, Jesus says that out of the impure heart emerges evil thoughts. And then he names some of them: murder, adultery, fornication, theft, false witness, and slander. Perhaps some politicians come to mind. A colleague points out that some of the dark things that clamor for space in our hearts are greed. I'll make time for God as soon as I have enough money. Pride. I'm too sophisticated. I'm way too smart for this God thing. Lust. Augustine confessed that there was a time in his life when he was too much of a player to spend time with God. He famously prayed, "Lord, make me chaste, but not right now." Those who are pure in heart are the opposite of those with unclean hearts. They have good intentions that manifest themselves in noble actions. They speak the truth. They preserve lives rather than trying to destroy them. They're generous. They are selfless. However, we dare not confuse the pure in heart with the joyless. They're not stern and puritanical. It's important to remember that Jesus was speaking to very poor people who were living under this oppressive Roman regime. And yet, he wasn't deadly serious all the time. According to John's Gospel, Jesus performed his first miracle at a party. This young couple had gotten married, and as was the custom, they'd invited in all their family and friends, and they were having a grand celebration. And as Kate Bowler points out, things were going well until they committed this social blunder of running out of wine. Now, Jesus could have stepped in at that point with a severe sermon. Enough revelry. Indulgence is the enemy. But instead, he took jars of water and turned them into wine. Wine that was better than what had been served before. And according to the text, he made gallons and gallons of wine. So what does it mean to be pure in heart? Jesus doesn't provide us with a concise definition. However, when we peruse the Gospels, I think we find some clues. For instance, it appears that Jesus held up the disciple Nathanael as one who was on his way to possessing a pure heart. Pointing at Nathanael, he said, "Here is an Israelite in whom there is no guile." Jesus was pointing to character. A person who is pure in heart is not deceitful or crafty or duplicitous. Presbyterian minister Scott Black Johnston reminds us that at this moment, while we're sitting here in worship, there are people in various places around the world who are being paid to sit at their computers and fabricate stories for social media. These so-called troll farms have one purpose in mind: to stir up trouble. Troll farms are diabolical in intent, but they are very savvy when it comes to human nature. They know the toxic power of anger. Pour vitriol over the ties that bind us together, and you can make a society begin to unravel. It seems to me that people in our society are angrier than at any other point in my lifetime. Johnston has a friend who says she sends in a contribution to her favorite charity every time a particular candidate makes her mad. He asked her about this one day. She said, "How's that going?" She said, "I'm so furious, I'm about to go broke." Anger at injustice is absolutely legitimate. We ought to be angry about violence and prejudice and economic injustice and deceit and the destruction of the environment. However, if anger is our chief pilot, we risk becoming mean-spirited and unforgiving, not to mention the toll it's going to take on our health. To be pure in heart is to be committed to honesty, integrity, respect for others, and rather than spending our energy trying to top others, experiencing the joy of lifting others. Leo Tolstoy wrote, "In our world, everyone thinks of changing humanity, but no one thinks about changing himself." Of course, to be pure in heart, we must undergo a personal transformation. To be pure in heart is to have a humble spirit that inhibits you from thinking too highly of yourself or to think about yourself all the time. The irony of this beatitude is that if you think of yourself as pure in heart, it's evident that you're not. Recognizing the ways we fall short of a pure heart, anger, greed, lust, a desire for revenge, recognizing the ways we fall short is a prerequisite for moving toward that purity of heart. To be pure in heart is to yearn for God's life-giving energy to fill us with purpose. It's to wake up to the grandeur of our creation and to just be overwhelmed by gratitude. Just give thanks that we're alive, that we're something rather than nothing. It's a grateful heart that we exist and that we live in this incredible world of possibilities. A colleague tells about Valerie Carr. She's a 40-year-old woman who has degrees from Stanford, Harvard, and Yale. If there's anything more impressive than her big brain, it is her huge heart. Her heart is shaped by her faith. She's not a Presbyterian. She's not even a Christian. She is a Sikh. And she remembers when her best friend in middle school told her that she wouldn't be going to heaven because only Christians go to heaven. And since she wasn't Christian, she wasn't going there. This little girl had it all figured out. She knew what people deserved in the end, and so she told her friend. She told her friend so. Years later, Valerie became aware that some folks, most of whom probably called themselves Christian, couldn't actually wait for the Sikhs to find their damnation. And there was this rash of beatings, even murders. She had an uncle who ran a gas station. He was out in front of his gas station planting flowers, trying to beautify his business. A man drove up behind him and shot him in the back. Men who are Sikh wear turbans, and this was just a few weeks after 9/11. Many Americans, knowing little about people from other countries, just knew they're not like us, and so they don't deserve what we deserve. Having such an act of violence against you or one you love can make you bitter. It had that effect on many. But Valerie Carr chose mercy. She labors for what she calls revolutionary love. Her grandfather, whom she calls Papa G, explained that this was a tenet of her faith. He taught her that she should endeavor to see no one as a stranger, but rather as a part of your life story, a part of yourself that you just don't know yet. In her book, See No Stranger, she writes, "Love is dangerous business," Papa G explained. "If you choose to see no stranger, then you must love people even when they do not love you. I suspect that's the kind of person Jesus had in mind when he said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." He did not say that to be pure in heart, you have to be perfect. Rather, to be pure in heart is to say yes to the spiritual adventure that is ours to live. To love even those who are hard to love. To seek what is right for all people. And to spread the seeds of peace wherever you are. We calm our minds, we open our hearts, we come before God. Become aware of God's presence with joy and gratitude. Become aware of God's presence with joy. Become aware of God's presence become aware of God. Become aware. Gracious God, creator of the vast universe, yet mindful of each molecule, you peer into our depths and know all there is to know about us. You know what fires our passion and what snuffs out our flame. You know what keeps us stirring at night and what stokes our courage. You know what drags us down and what hikes our hope. You know not only who we are, but more importantly, the person you wish us to become. Help us to grasp the greatness you expect of us and arouse within us the determination to live into your dream. Gracious God, as you called prophets of old to speak your word and to do your will, help each of us to gain a sense of where you are urging us to go and what you are challenging us to do. Each of us is your unique creation, and you call each of us to specific actions given our particular situation. Pry open our eyes, uncork our ears, and soften our hearts to the people who are around us, the ones we love and whose joys and tears mix with our own. Make us mindful of the ways we can help one another flourish. Help us also to be alert to the ones whose paths cross ours only for a brief time, the ones beyond our inner circle or who come into our lives only for a season. Help us, God, to be awake to each person we brush up against, knowing that so often you beckon us through human need, both our needs and the needs of others. Oh Lord, you know each of us needs love and kindness, respect and appreciation, understanding and forgiveness, happiness and hope. Help us to cultivate these traits in ourselves as we give ourselves to others. Now hear us as we join our voices together in the prayer Jesus taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And now may love, joy, peace, and hope be ours this day and forever. Amen.